Watching that clip again, I so remember seeing that movie for the first time. I was working in Entertainment Tonight, and I went to a screening room on Wilshire Boulevard, De Laurentiis screening room, which is now the Wilshire Screening Room, and I walked out of it into it seemed like blinding sunlight. And the publicist comes up, "What did you think? What did you think?" I couldn't talk. I go like, "I can't give you a reaction. I've never seen a movie like this," and it was so hard to process, which it must have been an incredible experience to be making that movie, I imagine, with David Lynch.
It was, life-changing. I left high school, got into UCLA, and on my second day at UCLA asked if I could leave to take a leave of absence because I had gotten cast in a movie, and they were outraged. I begged for a leave of absence. They said they didn't do that. I explained the movie. I even ultimately gave them the script. They were even more horrified and said they couldn't believe I was giving up my college education to go do this outrageous thing. And thank God I was raised by the parents I was raised by in the community of artists that I was raised around, because I had seen Eraserhead and I knew I had to work with that filmmaker, and I knew it would change everything that I understood about what art was and boundarylessness was. So they did kick me out of UCLA, and I'm a cockeyed optimist. I'm super hopeful, despite any challenges in my life. I'm like, oh my God, I totally believe in love. But I'm really bitter about UCLA kicking me out, because now, if you want to get a master's in film at UCLA, one of the 3 movies you have to study is Blue Velvet.
No way!
So, guys, UC Santa Barbara wouldn't have done that.
That's amazing.
But, in fact, I arrived on that set, and everything did change. Everything that I understood was funny shifted. What was horror shifted. Sexuality shifted. And it was because David believes in all of it. And I think what was so shocking about Blue Velvet for so many is we saw it for the first time and presumed he was in on his own joke. But he believes in Sandy like he believes in Frank, Dennis Hopper's character. Like, he knows the violence of things, and he knows deep spiritual truth. Like, he believes in everything. And so as an actor, you have to go everywhere. Nothing's off limits, and if you don't hurl yourself toward it, that's the only way you disappoint. There's no way of getting it right, but you always have to throw yourself into the unknown. And that, he has been my great college education, but my great teacher of my life. And I know it's brought me toward all the other filmmakers and comedy and all kinds of things that I think I never would have understood without David.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
And tell me if this is true, but I heard Isabella Rossellini, your co-star in there, when she met you, she had seen Mask to bring them together here, and was convinced you were blind. Is that true?
This is true. Yeah, we met on the first day of rehearsals, and she was so particularly sweet and attentive that she kept taking my hand and guiding me everywhere we went. For, literally like 15 minutes, and finally we went to cross the street, and she was holding me and I say, what? And I finally was like, Isabella, what are you doing? She's like, oh, but you can't see. I said, of course I can see. And she said, no, you the way you see, of course, yes, you see in one way, but not the other. I was like, I don't know, her father was a director. Maybe that's the way the Rossellinis talk about things. And finally, supposedly she said to David Lynch, like, oh, but this is so brilliant. You wanted the symbol of innocence to be able to not see the world. He was like, what are you talking about? She can see. So it was a lovely way to meet who would be one of my best friends for life.
And I loved it. A couple of months ago, I was at the Governor's Awards, where David Lynch got a way overdue and well-deserved Oscar, which I think you were probably partly responsible for because you're on the Board of Governors, and they voted this to him, and it was so great. And to see the reunion of you and Kyle MacLachlan and Isabella Rossellini and you presenting him with that award was amazing. That must have been a great night.
It was an incredible night, and the thing that I remember the most from it, other than amongst so many filmmakers in the room, Quentin Tarantino saying, well, nobody ever will have a clip reel like David Lynch. That's like you'll work your entire life and never have that level of radical genius, which I thought was very beautiful to hear all the filmmakers talk about just who he is and what he means to cinema. But amidst all the compliments and the love that was, poured out about and around David, he received his Oscar, and Kyle and Isabella and myself walked off the stage with David, and he was holding his Oscar very quietly and humbly, which he truly is. And I looked at him and I saw him staring at it, and I said, wow, it's really beautiful, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, but they're not our ideas. We're just lucky if we catch them. And that was just a private moment to me on the side of the stage, and just that speaks to who David is as an artist, and much to learn from that.
And then you worked with him several times. You worked with him again. I'm going to show a clip of the movie. Wow, this movie also blew me away. It's called Wild at Heart with Nicolas Cage that David directed. And you played Lula, and she was something.
She was something.
Yeah, what do you remember about that particular film? Because we're about to see a kind of cool clip.
Time of my life, loved it, huge part of my story, and really of shaping who I wanted to be as an actress, to be a teenager and be, committed to the idea of being a serious actor and storyteller. And have my dad, I remember we were flying to Reno, in fact, to go to Lake Tahoe. And we were sitting side by side on the plane, and I was asking him questions about acting. And he said, I was the guy who killed John Wayne. Don't ever let them pigeonhole you. It'll screw your career. If you do one thing, let them let you do the opposite the next time. And I was like, but what if you're not that lucky? You go where the work is. And he's like, you'll be that lucky. And in fact, thanks to David Lynch, having just seen this clip, he had me play this sort of iconic girl next door kind of character in Blue Velvet, and then an outrageously, sexual siren kind of character in the next movie together. And after we had done Blue Velvet, I was getting all the sort of girl next door parts offered to me. And so that was the first taste of, flipping the narrative. And with the same filmmaker who put so much faith in me doing that, not having proven that or shown him that in any way or even auditioned for him, just kind of trusting that I could do this other thing. So I was very blessed.
Well, we're going to take a look at a scene from Wild at Heart, followed by a scene from the film that brought you your first Academy Award nomination for Best Actress in Ramblin' Rose. At the same time, your mother, who played opposite you, was nominated for Supporting Actress in Ramblin' Rose. So much to talk about that. But let's take a look at Wild at Heart and Ramblin' Rose.